The rate at which people are moving from one city or state to another has been increasing at a rapid pace. There are many reasons, but the primary one is very simple: money. If people can't afford where they're living, they pick up everything and move to a more affordable place. They don't want to have to do this, but when times get tough, they do what's needed. And so, you came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to look at what's been happening as a result of increased expenses, as well as a few other factors, but we'll definitely be focusing on the monetary, the financial aspect of it. So I've done a few videos similar to this before, but I wanted to cover some new information. Hopefully I can keep this video quick and concise. Let's take a look at this first. As prices continue to increase throughout the Bay Area, pushing out even some of the highly paid tech workers, experts are saying that more residents are flocking to relatively affordable Sunnyvale, driving up the prices there. It's become the new hot market. Sunnyvale's median price of $1.57 million is truly absurd. That's the more affordable location. Now, wherever you live in the United States, you have probably seen prices rising. Maybe they were a lot lower before, and today they have become unaffordable, but that's all relative. So these individuals here might earn more than an area where, for example, the homes might be priced, let's say, at $200,000 on average. But look around the world. What we have seen in basically every major country in the cities, the major cities where most of the population lives, we see really, really expensive real estate. We can go to small towns anywhere around the world and find affordable housing, but that's not where the general population lives. So we generally like to look at what's been happening for the major metropolis areas and see how that's affected. Now, looking at Toronto as an example, if you drive for 2 to 3 hours outside the major city center, you can get some very affordable housing. But are the jobs necessarily available there? Are all of the amenities there that people are used to? Do they have the same amount of schools and hospitals and so on? These are important things for many people. They generally go into the very condensed cities, urban areas, and then you have the suburbs, which have basically become extremely expensive housing costs, around $1 million or so. And I know that this is a problem all around the world in major cities. And I'd like to cover this issue. And in fact, I have learned so much from the people here who subscribe to this channel, who are constantly commenting and letting me know the situation, because you're sharing that information. Imagine this: if you're living in somewhere in Texas, for example, you then share that information with somebody who lives in Amsterdam, somebody who lives in China, somebody who lives in Australia, and so on. So we can all learn from each other. I do appreciate that very much. It may not stay that way for long. So far this year, homes in Sunnyvale are selling for an average of 28% over their listed price and are spending just 9 days on the market. A 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot house in the city recently sold for close to $800,000 over its listing price, $2.47 million. Guys, nobody can afford these prices. Even the highly paid tech workers are being priced out of the market. They have to go further out. They live into smaller places. Well, that's why we're seeing the rise of these condos that are going up everywhere. Look, this here, 848 square feet. You know, we live inside of these shoe boxes, and it's unnatural for obvious reasons, but the affordability is much better. And for a lot of people, they'll say, look, I can live in the small house because then I only have to drive 1 hour to work versus 2 hours is just not possible. I can't do it. So I'm going to live in this smaller place, and then I'd be able to get back and forth from work. But it's very tough. There's a lot of traffic. It's condensed areas. We are seeing people that are, living in conditions they probably wouldn't if the prices were more affordable. In the years to come, millions of people, thousands of businesses, and tens of billions of dollars of net income will flee high tax blue states for low tax red states. And this is something that I have been covering here. I have done other videos about it. I'll show you more about that in a moment. This migration has been happening for years, but the Trump tax bill's cap on the deduction for state and local taxes or SALT will accelerate the pace. The losers will be most of the Northeast, along with California. The winners are likely to be the states like Arizona, Nevada, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. And I know a lot of people who live in these areas will probably say, stay out of here. You tell me if I'm right. For years, blue states have exported a third or more of their tax burden to residents of other states. In places like California, where the top income tax rate exceeds 13%, that tax could be deducted on a federal return. Now the deduction for state and local taxes will be capped at $10,000 per family. So these things here make a big difference. When you increase property taxes, for example, a lot of people in Illinois have shared this with me, that they are sick and tired of the amount that they have to pay. And so this is the result. People move. They're tired of it. They can't deal with it. They can't have more burden on them. It's not going to happen. They're not going to deal with it. Consider what this means if you're a high-income earner in Silicon Valley or Hollywood. The top tax rate you actually pay just jumped from 8.5 to 13. Similar figures, and it goes on. Let me just move on here, okay? Don't want to bore you with all the little details and numbers. The effective income tax rate, what people actually pay, is jumping. People in this area here are either going to hunker down, pay what they can, or they're going to move. The issue is that people that are in, let's say, the more luxury markets, they have less buyers. When you have a home that's worth $10 million, $20 million, even a few million, $5 million, let's say. In Manhattan, an area like that, these prices are becoming, I don't want to say it, but more reasonable because the prices have come up so high. So they want to move out, but there aren't enough buyers in a market that has, let's say, somewhere, let's say 1 million or less. So the homes stay on the market for longer. They start to sit there and the people think, well, you know what, I can't move. I'm not going to sell it for less than this. It's worth this much. I shouldn't be selling it. I'm going to stick around. So they stick around. They wait for the market to improve. They wait for more buyers. They try to put it on the market. They pull it off the market. They try to put it on, pull it off. It happens all the time. And so many people are able to sell, they're able to move out, but they move into areas that are more reasonable, and then those areas are increasing as well. All right, now, the hikes will cause an exodus of residents to move to lower or no income tax states, and I don't blame anybody for doing this, trust me. In years to come, millions of people, thousands of businesses, and that's actually the same information. It's talking about the population, they're going to lose 800,000 people and so on. Let me just move on. I don't want to cover that same information. As far as we can see, the only way for blue states to prevent this coming fiscal bloodbath is to start taking tax competitiveness seriously and end their tax rates, cut their tax rates in response. Basically trying to say, look, despite the shrinking tax base, New York spends nearly twice as much on the state and local government per person, $16,000, as does economically booming Tennessee. Okay, the reason I'm mentioning this right here is that whenever we have an issue that is presented to us, okay, there's not enough jobs, there's too much employment, or not enough employment, there's too much unemployment, I should say, we have a problem with this industry or that industry, you always have people yelling and screaming saying, I want my government to do more. Big mistake. Then you have the other issue where the government steps in and said, okay, we're having a problem. The wheat farmers are not earning enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to subsidize the wheat industry. We'll go in, we'll do that. Okay, next. Oh, the dairy farmers are not making enough because, the milk doesn't cost enough. We're going to subsidize the dairy industry. We're going to do that. We're going to subsidize the oil and gas industry. We're going to give them money. We're going to give them sweetheart deals. We're going to make sure that these jobs continue. So the government just keeps stepping in. And they do so, of course, with the help of lobbyists, making sure that the money goes into the right hands. Yes, that's that, right? But it never fixes anything. Why not just allow things to naturally happen? If somebody doesn't want jobs in this area, look, jobs are going to be lost in that area. They're going to move to another area. If we allow it to naturally happen, this would be pain in the short term, there's no doubt, but in the longer term, it would be amazing. It would truly be amazing. But that safety net gives people this idea that, hey, I got a pension fund coming to me. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure it continues to come in as the days, the weeks, the months go on. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll vote for you. Have no fear. And that's what people do. They vote for big government. They vote for big government on the left. They vote for big government on the right. And I didn't actually understand the concept of left and right until a couple years ago. I didn't realize that there were people who believed in a left-right paradigm. I'm not sure. Maybe I have a learning disability, but I've only seen all of the same when you think about it. The heart of the nation's tech sector, the astronomically expensive Santa Clara County, leads the state in residents looking to move out of town. Good stuff. They are able to get out. They can take their things and move to a more affordable place. However, many people can't afford to even move, especially out of the country. This is something that's been going on. Now, a lot of people have been trying to do that. They've been doing it successfully. Other people are stuck where they are. They feel like they're at the end and they have no chance of moving. And this is unfortunate for a lot of people. It is the conditions that we're seeing today. Using property searches and census data, analysts at Realtor.com found that the larger share of residents are leaving Santa Clara County, home of the tech behemoths Google and Apple, than any other county in California. There's basically where Facebook came in second, just ahead of Los Angeles. Think about what's going on. You have so much money. You have all of these jobs that have been moving in. I've been covering this factor for quite some time here. Jobs are moving in. You're looking at employment being better than a lot of areas in the US. You're seeing a lot of money moving there. You're seeing new buildings being created, new jobs and businesses in these areas. At the same time, you have a whole bunch of people who are there. They've been there for a while. They're moving out. Why? Because they can't afford it. And it's not just one or two areas. Yes, that's the most extreme examples, but I've shown you many of these before. They're also talking about the housing supply. This is an issue that has always become a factor. We've seen it in Toronto as well, suggesting that detached homes, as an example, single dwelling homes are in short supply. People don't want to necessarily live in a condo. They don't want to live in tiny stacked cubes. And so what do? They have to move further out. But that further out brings increases the commute, increases how long people are driving for. They're going on the subways and different metro systems. It's not a good thing either. All right. And basically they've talked about that. I mean, it's obvious wherever you look for in the world. It's the same exact issue. The urban sprawl is clearly here. But this is one of the issues for Sacramento. Sacramento housing bills, they go in to talk about getting more apartments for different people, different situations of life here. All I know is that the government will step in and make it more affordable. But guess what? They're going to put the burden on the taxpayer. They're going to be able to give incentives to certain people. They're going to be able to use their own tax money to build facilities. They're going to spread the wealth in between average, let's say the taxpayers, between those in the lower income gaps or the lower income individuals. I don't think that's a good thing to do either. I think this is really a failed policy, and it shows how far they're willing to go. And it is something that we're just going to see more and more failures. That's ultimately what's happening here. The government can't fix it. The government will not fix it. And ultimately what they're trying to do is siphon more wealth away from the middle class. That's generally the way it works. But just another day in paradise. If you want to see more of these type of videos here, I have done a few. This one is actually my biggest video. It's 1.2 million views. People are abandoning these 5 states in record numbers. Mass exodus is happening. I've got this one. I've got a few others here on this channel. You can go into my channel and sort by popularity. A few of these will have come up. Check it out for yourself. But essentially, stay tuned for more. I'm going to continue to cover this issue. I think it's very important. That's all for this video. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support this channel. I do appreciate that very much. And I wanted to say, if you want to learn the education system, the financial system, well, you're not going to learn it from the education system, right? That's why I wrote these 2 books. I wrote these 2 books to explain what's really going on. The average person pays an astronomical amount for their education. That's basically through their tax money up until post-secondary education, university or college. Here, for $30 between these 2 books, $20 for the first one, $10 for the second one, you learn more than even people within the financial industry understand. And I believe that these are so important, so crucial for people to know the details in these. So if you read them, I definitely believe that you will come out learning so much. The people who have read these books have been so gracious and kind to let me know what they've thought about it, and it's been such positivity, and I'm really grateful for that. All right, that's all for this video. That's all for this. If you want to check these out, go to the link in the description, bring you over to Amazon. You can flip through the books for yourself. Take care.